When you do this job, sometimes you're surrounded by people who are living, you see how the other half lives, if you cover tech or if you around, I mean, basically everyone else makes more money than us, just in short, so sometimes you're doing this for a long time, and as much as you love it, it's hard to get by. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to, afford to live in the Bay Area. So I don't blame anybody for having to jump out and go work for a congressman or senator or PR firm, because while it's sad to lose such great talent, you totally understand that people have to put food on their table, send their kids to school, pay for babysitters. So there's that. I grew up, my two major influences growing up were my father, who is an advisor at a community college paper, so I always kind of hung out there over in San Pablo with his students, and a lot of them became journalists, and so I grew up in that environment. And then as a teenager, the youth pastor at my family's church was the sports editor of the hometown paper in Vacaville, so through him I expressed an interest and ended up covering some sports stuff as a teenager for them, like while still in high school. Maybe I was just out of high school, but like 17, 18-year-old kid hanging out in the newsroom of what was in a pretty busy daily with a lot of reporters. So those two things really got me interested at an early age in becoming a journalist. If I didn't have to go to college, I would have just I wouldn't have gone to college if they would have let me do that. I just wanted to write as soon as I was out of high school. Every reporter now does virtually everything. We shoot video, we take pictures. We've definitely shifted our focus within the last year, particularly into video and into more visual storytelling. So I think that would be kind of the biggest, in terms of how we tell stories. People need to know what's going on in their neighborhood. They need to know, what's happening at City Hall. It's not always like, the most interesting reads, but keeping a check on local municipalities is the primary function of a local newspaper. And without the local newspaper, nobody would write about it. I mean, people wouldn't know what's going on around them. Like with our coverage on the ghost ship fire, for instance. I mean, we as the hometown paper, we knew a lot of things that other people didn't know very early on that benefited us, and I think really benefited readers, in that we knew who to go to, we knew what questions to ask, we knew where to find documents, we knew when they wouldn't give us documents that was bullshit because we've gotten those documents before. So I mean, the local paper is like, the reporters who work in this office, many of us live in Oakland. We lived here a long time, and we care about the town. And I think that's also a really important quality to have in a staff. Because a lot of us live here, and because we're the hometown paper, we took it personally, in some respect. And right from the get-go, we knew we needed to tell this story. We needed to tell it as sensitively as possible to the victims, families, and their friends, but also get to the bottom of who knew what and when, and was there an opportunity to prevent this? And what we learned was yes, there were numerous chances to prevent that fire. And so I think that helped our coverage to sort of stand out from all the numerous groups and individuals who were covering the story. And I mean, we're talking like, I've never seen this office that that busy. I mean, 24 reporters came in here, and we were here 12, 14-hour days for the first 2 weeks, just every day, just working our asses off. And that, I've never seen a more dedicated staff. So I mean, while it's a tragedy, and it's, it feels sort of strange to win for award for something that continues to devastate a town. I'm proud that that my colleagues stepped up and kept the city accountable for what happened that night.